guys, it is still August 23rd and I'm trying to get all of my content in so that I can keep you guys up to date on everything that's happening. And I realized that I never showed you an update on the brassicas that I started on August 2nd. And then on the 14th, I sowed lettuce seeds. So I wanted to show you while I'm in the kitchen here where everything is growing, how progress is going. Yeah, so my house is back to being a disaster. I'm very frustrated. But look, I have peas. I have all really good germination here. Different cabbages. And I'm back inside with the screaming birds. This is what I get. I have some squash, more cabbages over here, different types of peas, Brussels sprouts. So most of this actually germinated in just 2 days. I have to get these peas up on some kind of a climbing structure or something because I didn't anticipate that they were going to grow that quickly, but it's still too warm to take them outside. Now over here, I've got almost 100% germination on all of my lettuces. I have over 30 varieties growing here. I'm super, super excited. Over here, I have some different kale that is growing, some new varieties. I've tried Russian red kale that's growing. And one of the varieties that I tend to have big problems with germinating is the Rouge Diver variety of lettuce, but I was really hell-bent on getting it to germinate, and it looks like this year I've really got it going. So some of this will be going directly into the garden in the back, and some of it will be going into the green stalk this year. So we are reinventing that vessel as well. So as we grow, as growers, and we just grow. You have to grow with acceptance and knowing that your kitchen is just going to be a disaster, and is really hard for me as a person with, I was always OCD about my house being like sterile. When I first met John, my house was sterile. I had, everything was bleached several times a week. Oh my gosh. Then we got married and our food habits changed, and then birds came, and my entire life just changed. Well, when I became a gardener, that just added a whole new level of having to accept things as far as, the process and the mess that happens that you bring into your house. I'll go back to a video, I'll post it below, the burden of abundance. It's all really wonderful. It's wonderful. I love growing. But I look at times and I say, okay, I sprayed, misted my lettuce, and that makes some of the garden soil splatter all over the place. So it's like I'm constantly trying to stay up on it, and then we'll go out and harvest, and more dirt will come in, more soil, more bugs, whatever is coming in. So gosh, as you learn to grow food and you learn to, become a gardener, you have to learn acceptance and patience as well, because you can go crazy with this kind of level of mess all over the place. So now the other thing that we're doing is we're starting to harvest some seeds, and I'll show you what it is that we pulled. So the beautiful, massive sunflower that we got that was just marked thank you from Botanical Interest is growing these mammoth sunflower heads. So we are harvesting some seed to make sure. This is the chocolate cherry seed. I'm just making sure we're letting them dry before I put them into any kind of storage. These are some calendula seeds. These are the Peruvian dwarf zinnias. And I'm going to do a different video on how to know how to get your seeds. And these are from Summer Kiss melon. Now the ones that are growing out in the yard that I showed you earlier, they are Sugar Kiss melons, which are slightly different. These guys are a cross between cantaloupe and watermelon, cantaloupe and honeydew melon. So it's a green fruit. So I thought, oh, it's so sweet. Let me just save some of the seeds. I like to let them dry on the table, and then I'll put them into a marked envelope. These here are some green beans. They're starting to get nice and crispy. They were just too big to eat, so I just put them to the side. And I let them dry out, and you can hear the bean clanking around in there, and then I'll be certain that I have these varieties of beans for next year. Another video, I'm back at it out here with screaming parrots. I mean, what can I do? You guys, between screaming parrots and airplanes, it's very, very, very frustrating. if I have to conform to all of this, I'll never be able to make a video. So please bear with me as we deal with the realities of who we are as real people, inviting everyone into our life to come see how we live. We have screaming parrots. It probably annoys me more than it annoys most people. And I'll tell you why. I suffer from post-traumatic stress because my brother had cerebral palsy and he couldn't communicate. All he could do was scream. And the screaming was so loud that you could hear it down the street. So when I was a child and my friends, we first moved into our neighborhood, people through the neighborhood could hear this screaming. It was just like you hear with the bird in the background. And you know, kids are mean. People are mean. And they were like, what's that screaming? What is that? So I would just, you know, be quiet. I never really wanted to admit because there was a certain level of shame back then with disability to that level. And, you know, people just used to label everything as being, you were retarded. And my mom was highly sensitive to that word. So as soon as she heard any of my friends, I was a child. I was 6 years old, you know. You hear some other kids saying, oh, that sounds like somebody's retarded. There was just shame that came with it. So that's really a whole other video into stories of my life that I'm thinking about, like I said earlier, in my last video. I'm thinking about starting a channel about my spiritual journey, and I don't know whether I can just separate these videos from gardening to life journey, and whether or not you'll all want to come along for it. This is one of the things that I deal with, why I sort of check out from time to time, because I'm highly sensitive, and it took me a lifetime to realize that I suffer from post-traumatic stress, and I know that there's other people out there who do as well. So the garden has been life-changing for me, to be able to come out here and be able to grow things and sow seeds and start plants from seed, watch them grow, watch them go through the process of their life cycle. And, you know, and then I have these birds. It's not their fault. It's how he talks. It's Aki's language. They scream. They scream at a decibel that is equivalent to a 747's engine, literally. They're used to screaming across a rainforest. So, you know, to Aki, this is Aki here. He's my screamer. What's up, Aki? Let me turn the camera around and give you a better look at Aki. Aki, is that you screaming? Why are you screaming, pal? Mommy's right here. Mommy's right here. You don't need to scream like that. How about you, Allie? Are you being a good boy? Being a good boy? There's Mr. Buddy back there hanging out. Yeah, so really just one of my frustrations as just an aging woman. You know, we get to a place at a certain age, and it's not, like I said in my last video, it's not just about being a woman, even though our hormones are different. As we get into a place now, there's so many things I want to talk about that are not really garden related, but the things that we learn from the garden are so life altering that everything connects. You see how it all ties in. You know, you learn spiritually from the garden, which is another reason why I want to encourage everyone and inspire and motivate you to grow a garden. Because when you grow a garden, you become a gardener. And you have to become a gardener before you can grow the garden properly. And you learn to grow spiritually, and you start to have an awakening, an epiphany, an enlightenment, and all of those wonderful things. So as I come out here and I record and then I watch videos back, and I hear Aki screaming like a maniac in the background. It takes me back to the years of having post-traumatic stress over listening to the things that, you know, altered my mind as a child, and how it affects me as an adult, and how I'm trying to learn how to cope with that. And, you know, I just want to dig into, you know, my spiritual journey at this point. So, you know, I continue learning how to grow as a gardener and as a body with a spirit in it. So anyway, on a lighter note, you guys, I've been letting this bed dry out quite a bit. I got to be careful because my soil's going to become hydrophobic and it will not be able to collect water. There's some things that we've just backed off with the hose. And I'm letting go. I have to come out and harvest some of these wonderful Kentucky Wonder pole beans. This is a great bean to grow, but the Japanese beetles just really honed in on this year, and they just I couldn't function back here. So now I'm realizing green beans take a moment to see where they are, but I better get out here and harvest these beans. So I'll be ripping the rest of these tomato plants out, and we are planning to rebuild this area here so that it's not a cage any longer. It will become truly a narrow trellis. But what we're going to do is we're going to take the hog panel off and elevate it to its highest point, and then we're going to start and we're going to rebuild every structure where we add a secondary level of hog panel to the bottom, so that I'm not worried about having to have stakes like I did here. These are just marshmallow barbecue skewers that I got from Wegmans, and I had tomatoes on them until the tomato could climb up high enough. So now we're just going to go ahead and we're going to rebuild that. But look, it's chamomile season again. Oh my God, I think this is a volunteer. Oh, it smells wonderful. It smells like green apple candy, like Jolly Rancher. That's what it smells like. And all of beautiful marigolds are growing. And again, this area of cucumber really took a hit this year, and it's a shame because they want to climb up the cattle panel. You can see I have a really good looking cucumber that's growing here. Some babies, they have lots of flowers. So even though it looks dead down here, I must still have a live vine somewhere. This vine is still alive. So it's climbing up and still bearing fruit. So I'm excited about that. And oh gosh, I never imagined that my basil varieties were going to turn into this. So I have so many different varieties, and the cinnamon basil is one of my favorites. And I also love the lemon and lime basil. I need to get all these flower heads off. John was, oh, it smells wonderful. That's that is the Thai basil. It smells very spicy. Wow. But my Emily basil over here and my Genovese basil has gone completely out of control, so I got to get the rest of that out while I can, while I'm still making fresh tomato gravy. Yeah, so in the interim, I realized that now that I'm just reinventing the yard and all the different garden spaces that I have, is that since we'll be turning this into a different type of cage, we're going to, while we're doing that, we're going to amend the soil, and I'm going to be planting some of my peas on these structures, as well as different parts of the yard. I'm doing snow peas and snap peas. And then I'm going to try to grow my squash up onto the other cattle panel so they'll have some stability, and hopefully getting them off of the ground will help. Some of the winter squash I'm trying to grow in fall. I don't know. They're saying you need to put that in the ground in the winter, and then you grow it just like you do summer squash basically, but it gets started earlier. Some of those squashes take 110 days. I really don't understand the balance of growing brassicas successfully in certain areas. So I'm trying something different, as I had said in another video, and I am not direct sowing them. I'm doing them as starters and transplanting those seeds out here to see if, with all the climate change and how our seasons work here, if maybe sowing some of these squash seeds in late summer and early fall will help us to actually be able to harvest some winter squash. It's supposed to be a much nicer day out here today, according to the weather. It's getting very warm, and it is almost noon. I kind of got lost this morning, and I couldn't connect with what it was that I needed to do in the kitchen. So I should have been roasting tomatoes, making my last few batches of tomato gravy. I have beans to process. I pulled all those carrots this morning. Now I'm looking at the carrots going, oh gosh, now I got to wash carrots. We're battling the cicada killer nest still. Real quick before I forget on that. Leave me alone, big bug. These bugs. Somebody said, oh, just so you know, they were polite about it, but they said that cicada killers won't sting you. Some of them can't sting, and that they won't harm you unless they're threatened, and that it's not that bad. I am hearing all other sorts of things about the cicada killers, and I had already done research on them. Now, supposedly they're saying, oh, cicada killers aren't dangerous unless you're a cicada. Well, I beg to differ. Well, I've been patient with them, tapping me and hitting me and buzzing me and hitting me in the head and tapping me in the legs. It's very intimidating. Now, do they feel threatened by us? I'm pretty sure they do, because they're excavating our gardens. They've excavated all of my herb beds. They're in the tomatoes and the peppers. So when I stick my hand in, they're in there. And they usually give me a warning, but I can tell you that they do feel threatened by my presence. So we have to be very, very, very careful. Now, John is going around and apply diatomaceous earth onto all of their beds. You know, we're doing our best to treat mindfully, but because we have so many other beneficial insects, we're trying to not just treat indiscriminately. But if you are dealing with cicada killer wasps in your yard, please comment below on how, if you've successfully dealt with them or even eradicated them. We just can't seem to eradicate them besides actually killing them, which is just not, we don't really want to do that. So, but anyway, that was a total off-topic thing. But as I come out here and I get assaulted by cicada killers every day, it's something else that I'm dealing with. So anyway, you guys, this was just meant to be a quick update on what's happening with my seedlings from the last 2 weeks. And very soon we will be getting ready to start planting again. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and get on with my kitchen work and say thanks again for stopping in to see me. By the way, if this is your first time here, my name is Leigh. This is our backyard garden, and I sure hope you will consider subscribing to our channel and get to know us. Please comment and get into some chats with us. We love getting to know you guys. So anyway, guys, me and the birds, we'll see you in the next video.